Welcome. Welcome to the program today, the live stream, if you will. Welcome, Arlene. Welcome, other viewer that was here, may still be here. Man, have I got nothing to say and a great topic for you today. So much we could say, but is it worth actually saying? That's the question. Because the question before us is pop culture beyond help? Is it even worth saving at this point? It's like no matter what you do, no matter where you turn, the newspaper, if you will, everything is completely dominated by this desire to destroy what came before. From Star Trek to Rugrats, nothing will be left alone. Everything has to be conformed to the ideology that is plaguing the world. So basically, my question that I'm forced to ask myself is, are these things worth fighting for? Because what I see is a lot of grifters come into a field and they talk some big talk about, oh, we've got to fight these people. Buy my comic book. We've got to fight these people. Watch my YouTube program where I talk about fighting things. But I'm increasingly coming to the position that it's not worth saving. That at some point you actually have to break yourselves away from the cycle of just reviewing and talking about every new thing that the culture does. Oh, they're coming out with a new Star Wars. They're coming out with a new Marvel movie. Let's react to it. Let's watch it. Let's make sure we go to the theater. Let's watch it opening day so I can tell everybody how much I hate it. When Martin Luther thought it was important enough to nail his 95 thesis to the Wittenberg castle door, he ultimately came to the conclusion that it was worth leaving the Roman Catholic Church, that the doctrines of salvation by grace through faith alone were so important that it required him to leave that institution that he was a part of, that he didn't want to leave necessarily. And then after that, it wasn't like he was just waiting by the door every time that Mass was held. I'm going to go in and hear if they've changed. He moved on. He started writing his own hymns. He started publishing his own works. And of course, he still dealt with who was Erasmus, for instance, who was writing important things. And they were responding and having a dialogue and a debate between the two of them, Martin Luther and Erasmus. And at some point, we have to do that, I think. We just have to say, you know what? I'm not ruled by this corporation that cares more about money than they do people. Ultimately, Disney cares more about money than they do about the people of the nation of China, for certain. The people of the country of Taiwan, the people who surround China, who are constantly under threat from the violent, evil regime of the Chinese Communist Party. They care more about that. They care more about appeasing the woke than they do about making a good product. So you have to decide, is it worth my money? Or will I separate myself from that institution that has become so corrupt that it is irredeemable and put my money elsewhere? Welcome, P-Money. Eric Hawkins, our lead. What brought this upon this topic today was my seeing that there was a new version of the Rugrats for Paramount Plus. Now, I didn't like Rugrats as a kid. As a kid, I thought it was boring. I think, so, now that I'm thinking about it, I think we saw the Rugrats movie possibly in the theater. I have no idea who took me. I'd have to ask my brother if he remembers that. It's possible. But even as a kid, it wasn't all that entertaining to me. I found it kind of boring. But I was like, oh man, of course they're rebooting or returning to the franchises of our youth. Of course. That's what they do. It's due for the remake. It's due for the reboot. And I told Lady Vixen, I said, oh, look, they're making new Rugrats. And I had no intention of watching it or participating in Paramount Plus, because screw that company. That's the company that's ruining Star Trek. Why would I want to give them my money? They've done so poorly at managing their properties as it is that they've thrown CBS All Access into the trash, and they've launched a whole new streaming service because they suck and they don't know what they're doing. So I have no intention of watching it. But then Lady Vixen said, oh, I bet that Phil and Lil's mom, remember, there's these twin characters on the show, Phil and Lil. Lady Vixen said, I bet that their mom is lesbian. And I typed it in. I said, is Phil and Lil's mom lesbian? Sure enough, news article came up. Phil and Lil's mom confirmed to be an open homosexual. I don't care about Rugrats. I don't care about watching it. I was not going to watch it anyways. But this shows you that they're not going to leave anything alone. They're going to take everything that you love and destroy it. That is the goal of their postmodern critical theory garbage. It is not just, oh, well, they're writing these woke characters, or their Captain America is now fighting Jordan Peterson. Their goal, no matter which writer, whether it's the writers you like or don't like, those postmodern writers, their goal is to take those institutions and subvert them, to twist them on and manipulate them and deconstruct them and destroy them, and then build them up into their ideology. But their ideology is constantly shifting. So whatever those characters say now, whatever their political, the PC police things that they're meeting now isn't going to be enough. So it's constantly going to, whatever they do, these characters are going to get disrupted. They're going to get changed. The question then becomes, what do you do in the face of that? It's easy to sit back and criticize these things. It's easy to say, well, the answer is independent comics, independent filmmaking, independent this, independent that. Well, first of all, those things have to be good to be an alternative, because most often since the barriers dropped to publication, crap has swarmed in. Most of the content is not good. And even when these alternatives rise in the place of these terrible, terrible institutions, eventually, a lot of time, the people who were saying, oh, we need to disrupt the status quo, we need to make an alternative, they just sell out to those corporate masters, to Disney, to Sony, to whatever. PureFlix got sold. So PureFlix, which sucked, by the way, was this alternative to Netflix. Oh, it's clean content, appropriate for the family. It was mostly garbage. But it got sold to one of these corporations. I think it might have been Sony. So there's no one with principles. Because those corporations, if that stops making money, well, that, sure, whoever owned PureFlix, they made their money, they got theirs. It's not enough to just throw money at these things. You have to make sure that it's good and that the people are actually going to succeed. So I don't know what, I don't have the answers. I'm just some random guy. I don't know. Ultimately, when it comes down to it, I have no clue how to fix it. But I do have to ask the question, why do we continue to shovel money into the pockets of these corporations? Why do we give them free press? My reaction to Shang-Chi, my reaction to the Eternals. I won't say I will never do a reaction video to some trailer. They could bastardize something that I love, and I have to. I mean, I just feel compelled to watch it because I love torture, and I want to be tortured by these companies. But think about that. We are reacting to these videos, even if we think that they're garbage, even if we think the movie's bad. Oh, I've got to see it so then I can say I didn't like it. Welcome, Nathaniel Hervoge, Sharon Marlowe as well. All the greats here. Yeah, I have done reaction videos, I guess. I can think of a couple. Maybe I did for Queen A Geek. I did one about this Golem video game that they were making, Lord of the Rings Golem video game. It wasn't more of a reaction as I watched the trailer because I was like, oh, that's interesting. Let me see about this. And then I was like, why? I was more offering my opinion on why I thought Golem was a stupid idea for a video game. But I guess that's a reaction. So I guess I've done it. But if I was to just everything that Disney puts out, I've got to make a video about. I've got to chase the trend. I've got to make a Mandalorian video. I've got to make a reaction to Shang-Chi. I've got to make a reaction to Eternals. I've got to comment on this. Oh, they made a DuckTales thing. Oh, they made a Mighty Ducks thing. Oh, they did all this stuff. They're also always chasing the trend, doing their work for them. That's what they want. They want you to talk about these things. They want you to do their work for them. Free advertising, free marketing. And we fall for it constantly. Constantly. So why did I take and do my reaction to Eternals and then put one of my old music videos from over a decade ago that I made as a joke that I thought was funny as I had just gotten an iMac and it had GarageBand, and so I made a song. Why did I do that? Well, because I thought people would click on it. Obviously, I want people to watch my videos, so I make videos and content that I think people might click on. And second of all, I did it to illustrate a point. That there would be people who genuinely, I'm not attacking anyone. There would be people that genuinely wanted to gauge my reaction to it. But my reaction to it is, I didn't watch the trailer. You literally saw as much of that trailer as I did in that video. As soon as it stops, I had pushed spacebar and paused it and closed it out. Because I legitimately didn't care. I don't care about Marvel movies. I ultimately don't care about DC movies, even though I like the world of DC Comics better. Whatever that means. But I knew there were people that genuinely wanted to see that. And I wanted to show them, I don't care. You should neither. That's the point of that white bread roll. Now you may think, oh, come on, man. Why didn't you just tell us what you thought about it? Because I didn't watch it and I had no intention of watching it. But I wanted to make something to hopefully make you guys laugh. Anyways, P Money. What's up, dude? Gotta go pick up the kids. All right. It's true. Ultimately, I wanted to trigger you guys, to make you laugh, to trick you. It's the whole point. A Rickroll should never be a source of anger. It should always be a source of joy. Like, oh, you got me. Oh, man, you sneaky little fox. You got me. Arlene says, just like with anything else that appears evil, I have completely turned my back on mainstream entertainment. They don't need any of her money. At the same time, you have to be willing to put your money, if you want things to change, into people that are actually making good content, that are delivering on what they promise, that aren't just taking your money and practicing bad customer service or not delivering the product that they promised and then giving them the money again. This collar is bothering me when it's all messed up. I don't know. Ultimately, why do I talk about things, old things mostly? Now, I did watch the Godzilla movies. You got me. I gave money to Warner Brothers. I'm a hypocrite. I got that so I could watch the Justice League because I liked somewhat those Zack Snyder DC movies. Do I think they were perfect? No. I think they were fantastic? No. I've always just said they were okay. They were a B minus, B, somewhere around there, maybe. But I enjoyed them enough to say, well, let's see what the Snyder vision would have been. Oh, I want to see Darkseid in a movie. I want to see this stuff. And then, so I signed up for a month. I paid for a month of that. And as soon as I had signed up with my card to pay them money for that month, I went in and I canceled it. Because I was only seeing it for that purpose. But how many people signed up for HBO Max and they didn't cancel it? How many people were like, well, I mean, it's got some movies on there and some old TV shows. I'll watch it. I am a terrible consumer for the entertainment industry. They don't like me because the vast majority of content. Now I have vast majority of content over here on these shelves. I have tons of movies and Blu-rays and DVDs and video games over here. There's more there's old retro video games in another room. The vast majority of them were purchased used. They didn't get any of my money because I don't care about now. I don't have to play a game now. I don't have to watch a movie now. If it's good, it's going to be good next week. It's going to be good next month. It's going to be good 2 years from now when it's $5 at a used store. And I am satisfied with just watching old content. There are enough movies out there in the world that are worth watching that I will never see in a lifetime. Have you ever thought about that? There is enough content out there today that even if you binge watched it every day, that you weren't working, going to church, being with your family, the only entertainment source you were doing was watching, let's say, TV shows. You could not get through all the shows that were halfway decent, that were worth watching. Now, that doesn't mean I won't watch any new content, But if everything goes the way of this garbage, it's okay because Columbo still exists and it's over there on the shelf. Early Edition still exists and it's over there on the shelf. Smallville still exists and it's over there on the shelf. Firefly, on and on. Star Trek The Next Generation. The only 3 Star Wars movies that exist, they still exist. They're over there. I can watch them because I took the time to get them on the DVD editions that have the Laserdisc version that's actually as close to the original theatrical releases that you can get in a format that's not VHS or something that is questionable legally. And until I was able to get those, I didn't own the Star Wars movies. And that was last year, I think we found those finally, because they're just certain editions of the DVDs that had them. But people are like, oh, I got to get Star Wars on Blu-ray. I thought you hated the prequels and you hated the changes that Lucas made. Well, I got to have them on Blu-ray. I got to have them in the highest fidelity. Oh, they came out on 4K. I've got to go pick them up. There are movies that we bought new on there. The vast majority of them are used. At least in my purchases. Redbox is fine. Redbox is a good alternative. If you want to give them the least amount of money possible, just Redbox it. Because the majority of that money is going to Redbox. That's a good alternative. That's what we do. I think that's how we saw Endgame. That's how we saw Avengers Endgame. We didn't go to the theater to see that. That's how we saw Shazam. So Redbox is a good alternative. Some of your money is going to Redbox because Redbox has to buy those DVDs and Blu-rays. And they have agreements with the companies to get them at a discount, I would imagine. That's what Blockbuster used to do. I'm sure Redbox does it. So that's the best way to consume it if you want to give them as little money as possible. Used or Redbox. And that's what I do. Now, I don't expect everyone to live by my code of ethics when it comes to how to deal with these evil corporations, because they are evil. Let's make note. There's no question about it. When you have a Hollywood actor in what is the 9th Fast and Furious movie? So it's 10th. What? Somebody help me out here. FF9, I think it is. My word, if there was ever a franchise that did not deserve to have 9 sequels, it was Fast and Furious. Who is going to see these movies? I don't know. Especially after Paul Walker died. Not that he was some great actor or something, but still, the main character of the series. Yeah, Fast 9. There you go. Crazy. When you have John Cena, a multi-millionaire, a man who has been a millionaire for over a decade, who has made so much money that he'll never be able to spend it all, and yet wants to continue to be a star and have power and prestige, and, well, I've got to dominate acting like I dominated wrestling. And then he says in an interview with someone from Taiwan, the country of Taiwan will be the first to see this movie. Uh-oh. Better go apologize for that. And he's somebody that he so wanted to break into the Chinese market when he was in the WWE that he learned Mandarin so that he could go and give interviews to the Chinese media in their native tongue. He's been bought by the idea of the Chinese Communist Party and bowing to their whims, like the WWE, like Disney, like whoever owns the Fast and Furious franchise. And then he apologizes. Not because, think about this. He sold it as if he was apologizing to the Chinese people. But really, he was apologizing to the Chinese Communist Party. Please don't cancel this movie. Please don't cancel me. Because I said Taiwan was a country. Taiwan is a country. It is a sovereign nation, independent of China, always has been, and God willing, always will be. Because we've seen what's happened when the Western idiots give control of places that they saved from the Chinese Communist Party back to Chinese rule. We've seen what happened in Hong Kong. They are losing their rights every single day. It gets worse there. Macau, same thing. And those were under the protection of, I think, Portugal for Macau and the United Kingdom for Hong Kong for 100 years. And then Margaret Thatcher thought it would be great to give that control of Hong Kong back to the Chinese Communist Party so that they could invite that investment from China, and then they could make money. Well, they certainly made money while selling the Hong Kong people to Satan on earth, the Chinese Communist Party. Yeah, Arlene, I've seen the first and the second one, and then I think the fourth one, because I was a teenager when they came out, and they were fast cars zooming around and pretty girls. So a movie for teenagers. But you have all these people who are no longer 15 years old, who should be moving on to things that are more than just titillation, thinking deeper about things, and yet they're the main consumers for these things. There is no doubt in my mind that things with these companies will only get worse, because their only ideology, their only desire that you could even point to, or you could say, I know that they will continue to do this, is based on greed. Whatever they think will make them the most money. And you, the person that they hate your ideology, they hate your beliefs, they hate your viewpoint, you continue, not talking necessarily you specifically, so calm down. You continue to give them your money. Every single time they put out a new movie. I've got to see the new Marvel movie. I've got to see the new... Okay. All right. We all knew Captain Marvel was going to be terrible, right? We all knew that it marked the end of any kind of even, like, let's just have fun superhero films from Marvel. We knew that signified the end of it. And yet you all saw it. Guess who didn't see it? This guy. Didn't see it. Don't care. Never going to watch it. Never going to see that film. Never. Because I have no desire to. Just so I can say it was terrible? What do I care if it's terrible or not? This desire to watch things that we hate in order to tell people that we hate them, it's lunacy. I'm not going to support that movie because it's terrible. Did you go see it? Yeah. Did you tell everybody that you went and saw it and how bad it was? Yeah. Insanity. Well, that was a nice rant. That was a nice 30-minute rant. We haven't had one of those in a good while. Good long while. Hopefully, I didn't scare anybody off. That's the beauty of having this. I mean, this is the primary channel in my heart. But having this channel where people who might, there's a lot of people over on Upon the Chaos that have no interest in me talking about pop culture and Captain Marvel and all this nonsense. And that's the beauty of having this channel, is that I can still talk about that stuff that matters to me. It matters to me to talk about this stuff. Hervoje says, never saw Captain Marvel. Hell, Earth's Mightiest Heroes made Carol Danvers look cool. I had Earth's Mightiest Heroes, that the cartoon. Yeah, Hervoje he's pretty based, so. That's kind of the thing about a lot of those countries that were under communist rule, their citizens tend to come out with a different perspective than we the people of the cushy living for the last 100 years, relatively speaking. Unless you are old enough to have participated in an actual conflict, or brave enough, where you were drafted, or were brave enough to volunteer for such a thing. Not to say people don't suffer. That's not what I'm saying. We've talked about that before. But there tends to be, when you live in comfort, you tend to be pretty weak and easily taken over. And the same goes for people who live in absolute subjugation. They're easily swayed to violent action, like in Soviet Russia. Yeah, Hervoge, I wouldn't say based rather than dropping those rose-colored glasses. Yeah. I mean, I was just making a joke, Hervoge. Calm down. Anyways, unless you guys have things that you want to talk about, I'm going to wrap it up. I think we pretty much got everything out of the way, and 30 minutes is a good time to quit while we're ahead. While we still have steam. Before I start, like, I don't have anything to talk about, and I'm looking around at the desk looking for something. T-Bird and Throttle by Josh Howard. If you guys haven't read this comic, you certainly should. No joke. This is actually might be the best comic I've read this year. Which is pretty cool. Some actual themes in this. Relevant themes. I mean, could have been... This is something he's been working on for years, but it could have been plucked out of the headlines. So it could have been written today. Yeah. This is the complete volume 1. So I believe that's all... I believe that's 4 issues. It was the complete story. It's fantastic. If you guys have not read that, that's something I would recommend. That's somebody who made made something that is good enough to have been from a major company, but also has a relevant story and it's written well. It's a good compelling story. It's a good compelling story, and it has a I don't know if you want to call it a message, but it has themes and ideas that matter and say something and are important. So I might do an actual video about that, but yeah, Reese is right. Infinity War was already the end of the end. Endgame was, it was garbage, guys. At best, it was a mediocre, okay film. At best. Some people are saying, Endgame was good. Huh? Who? Do you like that time travel garbage? All of this is solved by time travel? No epic quest where they have to go to some crazy planet and fight these huge monsters to gain some stone of infinite, it's stronger than the stone. I'm okay with that garbage. How about have a few movies where you actually deal with this? Anyways, I digress. Endgame was such a letdown. Such a major disappointment. Especially after this high point of Infinity War, where storytelling-wise, they had actually finally done something worthwhile for the first time out in how long. Outside of the Captain America films, there hadn't been much epic, really grab you by the throat and pull you in stories in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Reese is going to come in here and be like, well, actually, Iron Man 3 story, and let me tell you why. And he'll probably be right. If you guys did not read this, I waited because I knew it was going to get collected. At some point he said that, and I didn't get it Because I'd rather have it collected. I would. And I'm glad I did, because if I had gotten through issue 1 of this, or gotten issue 2, and suddenly I'm like, no, I need to know what happens, guys. I need to know what happens. And I don't think I'd have cared for that. All right. So we talked about the problem. We gave an alternative of something that you could invest in. You can invest your time in. You could pay money for a product and invest your time reading it and come out better for it. Yeah, I was excited for Iron Man 3 because I liked some of Shane Black's movies. And then, of course, I saw it. Well, $1 billion, what did I say about $1 billion? I don't know. Oh. Iron Man 3 was a turd. I forget what I say sometimes. Remind me. Anyways, it's garbage. It's garbage. Marvel movies are going to be garbage. I mean, Shang-Chi. If you genuinely watched that trailer, I did watch that trailer. Part of it. I don't think I made it all the way through because I just got so bored by it. I was like, this guy is not standing out in any way. I don't know who the main character is supposed to be in this trailer. Who am I supposed to be following? Who's the protagonist? And it has nothing to do with, that they're Asians and they all look the same, which I'm, you're a racist or something. No. It had to do with, there was no strong reason in the way that trailer was presented for me to know. It's just punching and kicking and jumping on things. And it's so forgettable. It's so forgettable that I have seen trailers played before YouTube videos and things that I don't know, that I've skipped right after the few seconds, that I legitimately don't know if they were that trailer or not. I think they might have been, but they could have been for something else. I have no idea because it didn't stand out in any way. If you watch that Shang-Chi trailer, I'm excited. I wasn't a Shang-Chi fan before, but this trailer's got me hyped. I'm excited for this. I trust that Marvel's going to make a good product. Is there anybody out there that's like that? Let me know. Let me know if that's you. And I'll say, well, at least there's one. I mean, you only have to go back. You don't have to go back that far. And you start watching the things they don't care about. If they don't care if they make a bunch of money. Not their huge temple movies, but things like The Runaways. And you see, I see. This is the direction they're heading. Okay. That's going to be the predominant thing that they're putting into the films. They're just saying, how can we do this? Will people accept this garbage? Oh, well, it's just based on the comic by so-and-so, whatever idiot wrote Runaways, which was actually really good. Okay. The guy from New York makes badass. What if posters of past and present movies? That's my palette cleanser. Nice. Yeah, there's even films that I've seen. I go and I revisit and I see something new. I discover something that is meaningful about the film. Or I laugh at some new thing that was terrible or some joke that was actually intentional. Or my heart is warmed by this heartwarming film. Well, I don't like seeing the same things over and over again. I don't know what to tell you. For the vast majority of world history, you were hearing the same stories over and over again, and you had no access to this level of entertainment. We're so spoiled. Yeah. Shang-Chi. To me, call me a pessimist or something. Call me someone who thinks the worst about Disney at all times. But when I look at the current slate of upcoming Marvel movies, I see, pandering to the Chinese Communist Party. Shang-Chi. Eternals being directed by Chloe Zhao. They were like, all right. We want that extra Chinese money. How do we get it? And you can understand from a money-making perspective, they want their film to actually be released in China because pirating is so rampant in China. If your film does not get an official release in the theater, it will just get pirated. No one's going to say, well, I don't have access to it because it didn't get released in the theater, so I'm not going to watch it. No, they're going to pirate it, my friend. I have no idea. I don't follow it close enough to know, Herboje. Yep, 30 minutes after getting the Chinese money, you want more, though. It's constantly about more. Constantly. And so it wasn't enough to just get the films into the theater, into Chinese theaters. Iron Man. Well, then Iron Man 3 has to have scenes filmed specifically for the Chinese audience with some random Chinese businessman that Tony Stark asks in one scene, totally irrelevant to the plot. Oh, I need help with something. Well, then you have to you have to orient your films around the Chinese audience, or attempt to. We're going to make Mulan, which that didn't work out too great for them. And Chinese audiences totally rejected it because it was not true to the actual story of Mulan, this important cultural story in China that it was based on. They totally bastardized it. And the Chinese culture was willing to reject that. Unlike us, we're like, oh yeah, a new take, a new twist on a classic tale. They're like, nah, it's stupid. I don't want that. Now they have to focus solely on, we have to sell them on these because these idiots here in America are going to watch it no matter what. They're going to watch this content regardless. So welcome, Edwin, by the way. If you guys don't follow Edwin on here, of course most of you do. Some of you are new. Edwin does some very interesting content. He does story time, which is, I have this middle of the road tenor voice. I can talk in a clear and distinct way, and people are like, oh, you're really good at voiceover. I mean, maybe, but I don't have the voice to do it like Edwin. So if you want to hear that, go subscribe to his channel. All right, I think I'm going to end it. I think we found a new way to get 15 more minutes of watch time from people, so that's good. I remember for Iron Man 3, they said, oh, it's going to be Demon in a Bottle storyline. It wasn't. You can't expect them to do anything consequential with those characters. The most consequential thing they did was throw Gamora off of that cliff, and we saw what happened with that. Time travel, a new alternate universe. Gamora is here. Oh, so there's infinite universes and timelines, and there's a multiverse now. So none of what they do does matters. And it doesn't matter that Tony Stark's dead because there could just be a Tony Stark from another universe that comes. He doesn't look quite like Tony Stark from our universe because he's a different Tony Stark. They're already doing it with the Spider-Man movies, bringing in other people who have played Spider-Man. So they don't have to look the same. Thank you, Hervoge, for dropping that link as always. Always so faithful with the links. Okay, 45 minutes. I think we're done. Thanks, guys, for watching. Consider what I said, but you don't have to do what I say. Watch the movies the way you want to watch them. Play the games the way you want to play them. Read the comics the way you want to read them. I'm not telling you what to do. Just giving you my take.